Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय राधा गिरिधारी राधा गिरिधारी राधे, जय राधा गिरिधारी राधा गिरिधारी राधे। जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ, जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा, जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ, जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा, जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय, जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय, गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय, जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय। जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद, जय जय प्रभुपाद, जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद, जय जय प्रभुपाद। गुरुदेव 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 गुरुदेव, जय जय गुरुदेव। Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone. Welcome everyone for this session. Before going ahead, I'll chant the Mangala Charana or invocation prayers. Om apavitro pavitro va sarvavastham gatopi va yasmaret pundarikaksham sa bahya abhyantaram shuchihi. Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu. Om ajnanatimirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीन बंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरतिशे नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातम् अहं वन्दे परमानंद माधवं श्रीगुरुं दीनतारणं नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्। शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्तोऽस्तु भद्राणि विदोनोति सुहृत्सताम् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, everyone. So before continuing, just to remind myself, whatever little bit we are able to utter or speak or discuss, it's only thanks to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, without whose immense contributions, especially his wonderful translations and commentaries on these great works, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and many, many more such books, we would have no access to any of this ancient scriptures. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. So before continuing, we'll do Prabhupada Leelamrita, chapter 31. And I think here is where we were, if I am correct. Yeah. So we're continuing from here. Prabhupada confided in Rupanuga, Tamala Krishna, and Bhagavan about the various incidents. His mail withheld, his name misprinted, his riding in the Rath Yatra parade restricted. He mentioned these and other indications that certain persons wanted to move him into the background out of the reach of his disciples. He didn't want to stay in Los Angeles. He didn't want to stay in United States. He didn't want to even go to Europe. He wanted to leave the arena of his disciples' offenses. But before leaving, he wanted to complete his plans for establishing a governing body to manage ISKCON. To this end, he dictated the following on July 28th. I, the undersigned, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the Bhaktivedanta Swami, disciple of Om Vishnupad, Paramahamsa 108, Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada came in the United States in 1965 on September 18th for the purpose of starting Krishna consciousness movement. For 1 year, I had no shelter. I was traveling in many parts of this country. Then in 1966 July, I incorporated the society under the name and style, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, briefly ISKCON. Gradually, the society increased, and one after the another, branches are opened. Now we have got 34 branches enlisted herewith. As we have increased our volume of activities, now I think a governing body commission, hereafter referred to as GBC, should be established. I am getting old, 75 years old, and therefore at any time I may be out of the scene. Therefore, I think it is necessary to give instructions to my disciples how they shall manage the entire institution. They are already managing individual centers represented by one president, one secretary, and one treasurer. And in my opinion, they are all doing nicely. But we want still more improvement in the standard of temple management, propaganda for Krishna consciousness, distribution of books and literatures, opening of new centers, and educating devotees to the right standards. Therefore, I have decided to adopt the following principles, and I hope my beloved disciples will kindly accept them. Should we stop there, Prabhu?
That's Prabhu. That's fine, Prabhu.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much again for joining today. So, as mentioned, today's shloka is from Canto 5, Chapter 9 of Srimad Bhagavatam, verse 5 and 6, the supreme character of Jada Bharata. So, before going, we'll just very, very briefly see what the wonderful devotees have covered already in the previous sessions. Maharaja's Bharata's compassion for a deer cub after giving up his kingdom, giving up everything, and coming for attaining God consciousness. His compassion for a deer cub, then his subsequent attachment to the deer, and then because of that, the slackening of the mystic yoga practices, the mystic yoga practices, what he was dhyana yoga, what he was doing, slackening of that, and then his intense separation from the deer, constantly the deer was in his mind, and then finally when he gave up his body, he gave up his body thinking of the deer. But so as his mind was absorbed in the deer when giving up the body, so he was reborn as a deer cub in the another forest, and then he was so determined because he had remembrance of his past life and activities due to the mercy of the Lord. So he came back to this Pulha Shrama and stayed with the sages and listened to their discourses. And after a life of great tapasya as a deer as well, he gave up his body. And then he attained a very, very high class Brahminical birth in a very high class Brahmin family after his life as a deer. And then we saw right from a very, very young age, because he had such a high level of Krishna consciousness, he had an extreme fear of material life and association. As the devotees in the previous session said, once bitten, twice shy. So, because he had slipped, we cannot even say fallen, just slipped. Because of the one slip, Krishna gave him a lesson, and then because of that, he had extreme fear of material life and association. So we'll see his contrary and obstinate behavior. Yeah. So because there are two verses, what I suggested is we'll just repeat it only once, each of the verses, so that we can go together. Sorry. स चापि तद् उह पितृसन्निधाव एवा सदृशिनाम् इव स्म करोति छन्दांसि अध्यापयिष्यन् सह व्याहृतिभिः सप्रणव शिरस्त्रिपदीं सावित्रीं ग्रैष्म वासन्तिकान् मासान् अधियानम् अप्य असम वेतरूपं ग्राहयम् आस. Yeah. Could one of the devotees repeat see, they want to chant the shloka?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I am trying.
Yes, Prabhu.
Svachapi taduho pitri sannidhav eva sadrichinamiva smakaroti chandamoshi adhyapoisyan saha praritivhi sapranava shiraso tripadim savitrim grishma vasantikano masan odhyanam opi asamavet rupam grahvayam aso. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thank you very much. We'll go to the synonyms. Would one of the devotees like to read the synonyms of this verse?
Yes, Prabhu, I can read. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah.
Sahi Jadabharatcha also opined that that which was instructed by his father, Pitir Sannidhau, in the presence of his father, ever even, Ashadhrichinam, ever not correct, as if he would not understand anything, Sma Karoti, used to perform, Chandamsi Adhaya Paishyan, desiring to teach him Vedic mantras during the months beginning with Sravana or during the period of Chaturmasya. Saha, along with Vyari he, the utterance of the names of the heavenly planets, Bhu, Bhuva, Shaha, Sa, Pranava, Shira, headed by Omkara, Padam, three-footed, Sabitrim, the Gayatri mantra, Grishma Vasantikam, for 4 months, beginning with Chaitra on the 15th of May, Masan, the months, Adhi Anam Api, although fully studying, Asmaveta Rupam, in an incomplete form, Graham Asa, he made him learn. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
very much. Thank you very much, Mataji. Can one of the devotees read the translation of this nice verse?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jat Bharat behaved before his father just like a fool, despite his father's adequately instructing him in Vedic knowledge. He behaved in the way so that his father would know that he was unfit for instruction and would abandon the attempt to instruct him further. He would behave in a completely opposite way. Although instructed to wash his hands after evacuating, he would wash them before. Nonetheless, his father wanted to give him Vedic instruction during the spring and summer. He tried to teach him the Gayatri mantra along with Omkar and Viharti. But after 4 months, his father still was not successful in instructing.
Thank you. So very nicely, in this verse, they have described in great detail his father's efforts to instruct him in the Vedic knowledge. His father was doing whatever he knew was best in his as per his knowledge. So he was serving this great devotee as per what he knew was best. And we see here that how he was telling in all the basic things like even simple personal hygiene and how to do the various mantras. And very interesting, it's saying only during specific months of the year they were teaching him this Vedic instruction. So probably that was the custom in the specific months, the Vedic instructions, specifically the Gayatri mantra. And it's mentioned that Jadabharta was so obstinate, so stubborn that he just refused to get into this Vedic customs and traditions. We'll see the next verse. Next verse, would one of the devotees want to read?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yeah.
एवं स्वतनुज आत्मनि अनुरागावेशितचित्तः शौच अध्ययन व्रत नियम गुरौ अनल शुश्रूषणादि औपकुर्वाणक कर्माणि अनभियुक्तानि ओपि समनुशिष्टेन भाव्यम् इत्यसद् आग्रहः पुत्रमनुशास्य स्वयं तावत् अनधिगत मनोरथः कालेन प्रमत्तेन स्वयं गृह एव प्रमत्त उपसंहृतः.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Thank you so much. Anybody else wants to chant this verse?
Yes, Prabhu, I can try.
Yeah, please, Mataji.
एवं सतनुजे आत्मनि अनुराग आवेशित चित्तः शौच अध्ययन व्रत नियम गुरु अनल शुश्रूषण आदि वैपुकुर्वाण कर्माणि अनभियुक्तानि अपि समनुशिष्टेन भाव्यम् इति असत् आग्रह पुत्रम् अनुशास्य स्वयं तावत् अनधिगत मनोरथ कालेन अप्रमत्तेन स्वयं गृहे एव प्रमत्त उपसंहृतः. हरे कृष्ण.
Thank you, Mataji. Any devotees want to read the synonyms?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I am reading.
Please, Prabhu.
Evam thus so on Tanuje in his son Jadabhara, Atmani, whom he considered to be himself, Anuraga Aveshita Chitta, the Brahmana who was absorbed in love of his son, Shaucho, cleanliness, Adhyayana, study of the Vedic literature, Brata, accepting all the vows, Niyama, regulative principle, Guru, of the spiritual master, Analo, of the fire, Shustrushana Adi, the service, etc., Opo Kurbanako, of the Brahmacharya Asrama, Kurbanako, the Brahmacharya Asrama, Karmani, all these activities, Anobhiyuktani, Opi, although not liked by his son, Shamanushistena, fully instructed, Bhavyam, should be, Iti Das, Ashat Agraha, having unsuitable obstinacy, Putram, his son, Anushaisha, instructing, Swayam, himself, Tavat, in that way, and Anadhi Gato Manoroto, not having fulfilled his desire, Kalena, by the influence of time, or Prometena, which is not forgetful, Swayam, he himself, Grihe, in his home, Evo, certainly, Pramatta, being madly attached, and Uposamisrito, died.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can any of the devotees read the translation?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'll do that. Is it okay?
Please, Prabhu.
Translation by Srila Prabhu. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Brahmana father of Jat Bharata considered his son his heart and soul, and therefore he was very much attached to himself. He thought it wise to educate his son properly and been observed in this unsuccessful endeavor. He tried to teach his son the rules and regulations of brahmacharya, including the execution of Vedic vows, cleanliness, study of Vedas, the regulative methods, service to the spiritual master, and method of offering a fire sacrifice. He tried his best to teach his son in this way, but all his endeavor failed. In his heart, he hoped that his son would be a learned scholar, but all his attempts were unsuccessful. Like everyone, this Brahmana was attached to his home, and he had forgotten that someday he would die. Death, however, was not forgetful. At the proper time, that appeared and took him away. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Prabhu. The purport also, wonderful purport. One of the devotees can read the purport.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please.
Those too attached to family life who forget that death comes in the future to take them away, become attached and unable to finish their duty as human beings. The duty of human life is to solve all the problems of life. But instead, people remain attached to family affairs and duties. Although they forget death will come, death will not forget them. Suddenly, they will be kicked off the platform of a peaceful family life. One may forget that he has to die, but death never forgets. Death comes always at the right time. The Brahmana father of Jadabharat wanted to teach his son the process of brahmacharya, but he was unsuccessful due to his son's unwillingness to undergo the process of Vedic advancement. Jadabharat was simply concerned with returning home back to Godhead by executing devotional service through Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. He did not care for the Vedic instructions of his father. When one is fully interested in the service of the Lord, he does not need to follow all the regulatory principles enunciated in the Vedas. Of course, for an ordinary man, the Vedic principles are imperative. No one can avoid them. But when one has attained the perfection of devotional service, it is not very important to follow the Vedic principles. Lord Krishna advised Arjuna to ascend to the platform of Nistroigunya, the transcendental position above the Vedic principles. Troigunya Vishaya Veda Nistroigunya Bhavarjuna Nirdvandva Nitya Sattvasto Niryoga Shemo Atmavan. The Vedas mainly deal with the subject of the three modes of material nature. Rise above these modes, O Arjuna, be transcendental to all of them. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. Bhagavad Gita 2.45. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you so much. So much in great detail. It's explained his father's attempts to train Jadabharata in the Vedic customs and traditions, which he was familiar with. And in spite of his dedication, so we can see some extent is very similar to Narada Muni's mother as well. With so much love, she was taking care of him, but unfortunately, death snatched her away. I'm sure the great souls, they attain very exalted destinations because ultimately they were serving great devotees in whatever way they knew best. Hmm? So they must attain exalted destinations. And this particular shloka very nicely it says like how once we are absorbed in this thing, in the day-to-day responsibilities, we forget the ultimate goal. So, evam kutumba bharane vyaprathatma jitendriyaha mriyate rudatam swanam uru vedana yastadhi. So it's thus the man who is engaged with uncontrolled senses in maintaining a family dies in great grief, seeing his relatives crying. He dies most pathetically, in great pain and without consciousness. So again, we have to understand that the adhikar of these people were different. Adhikar, his father was in a different plane and Jadabharata was in a different plane. So he had the adhikar, no, because he was an exalted Mahabhagavata, he had an adhikar to that kind of Avadut kind of behavior, as we'll see later. And very nicely, Prabhupada describes the inevitability of death. In many places in the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, it is described where the Lord Himself says, "Mrityus sarva haras chaham." He says, "I myself come as death to snatch everything away." And death follows birth as an inevitable cycle. There's no escape to that. And even we see this in the Bhagavatam as well. It is described. So even Devaki tells to Kamsa, no? Not Devaki, Vasudeva. He says, "Oh great hero, one who takes birth is sure to die, for death is born with the body. One may die today or for hundreds of years, but death is sure for every living entity." So similarly, in the 11th canto also, it is mentioned that we are focused on so many, day to day we see the great leaders of the world, they are focused on so many material achievements, but they don't they none of them can conquer death. No, it says yadi praptim vigatam cha jananti sukha dukkhayo tepi adha na vidur yogam mrityur na prabhavedyata. No? Even if people know how to achieve happiness and avoid unhappiness, they still do not know the process by which death will not be able to exert its power over them. So it's a very nicely you say, ko anvartha sukhatyenam kamo va mrityur antike agatam niya manasya vyadhyasyeva cha na tushtida. He says death is not at all pleasing, and since everyone is exactly like a condemned man being led to the place of execution, what possible happiness can people derive from material objects or any gratification they provide? And we can see stubborn and resolution, no? Resolute determination and tolerance, no? Because it's not easy to pretend like a deaf and dumb man, no? Because people will be insulting you, they'll be throwing so much of, as we see even in the case of the great Rishabdeva, no? People were insulting him, but in spite of that, he persisted. So you can see such a great high level of tolerance, high level of tolerance. So in the Bhagavad Gita, this 5th chapter also is mentioned. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate adyantavanta kaunteya neteshu ramate buddha. He's saying the intelligent person does not take place in the part in the source of misery, because very rightly he recognizes that like whatever is material, it's not really happiness, even though it seems like that, which are due to the contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and end, and so a wise man does not delight in them. So very, very stubbornly, he says, Saptoniva yoshodam praksharira vimokshanat kama krodhod bhavam vegam sayukta sa sukhi naraha. Saying before giving up this present body, one is able to tolerate. So we can see what great level of tolerance Jadabharata had. The urges of material senses and check the forces of desire and anger. He is well situated and happy in this world. So you can see his high level of destination. And why he was behaving like that, as I was mentioning, he's got the adhikar. He's got the adhikar. He's in the top rung of the yoga ladder. As Prabhupada nicely describes the yoga ladder. So when we don't have the adhikar, we start off by doing the prescribed duties, as mentioned the Vedas, following the Vedic rituals and customs, and then we progress up. And only the person who is the topmost of the yoga ladder is saying, Arurukshor muner yogam karma karanam uchyate, yoga rudasya tasyava shama karanam uchyate. So for one who is a neophyte in the eightfold yoga system, work is said to be the means. So we can probably say his father was in the lower state of the yoga ladder. So he was focusing on the Vedic rituals, the prescribed duties. And for one who is already elevated in yoga, Jadabharta, already he has elevated in yoga, he is a top rung. Cessation of all material activities is said to be the means. So he was in the top rung of the yoga ladder. So this is Yadahi Nendriyarteshu na karmas anusajjate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yoga rudas tadochyate. He says the person is said to be elevated in yoga when having renounced all material desires. So it's something like he didn't have any desires, so he didn't need to work. Just like the Lord says, I don't need to do any work because I don't have any desires. Same thing with Jadabharta. He neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities. How much ever the material world tries to force him to, he is not. But you have to remember that he has adhikar to do it. I can't imitate him. I can't imitate him because I don't have the adhikar to imitate the great Mahabharata. So the advanced yogi, that also is described in the Bhagavatam, in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So it says, Jitatmana prashantasya paramatma samahitaha shitoshna shuka dukkeshu tata mana apamana yoho. So the Jadabharta, he has already conquered the mind, so he has already reached the super soul and he has attained tranquility. He is completely undisturbed. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. And further, this is just the beginning. He is further above this level. Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutasto Vijitendriya Yukta Ityuchete Yogi Samalostrashma Kanchanaha. So he is not enamored by the world. He is not enamored by the world. As he is saying here, whether it's pebbles, stone or gold, for Jadabharta, everything is the same. And not just this, even in terms of personal relationships. Suhrin Mitrari Udasina Madhyastha Dveshya Bandhusu Sadush Apicha Papeshu Samabuddhir Vishishyate. He is topmost. So he is considering the honest well-wishers, that is like his father, affectionate benefactors, whom are trying to favor him, and even the envious, his brothers, as we'll see later, and common people who are insulting him, he is considering them all with an equal mind. So he's at the topmost platform, because he has completely controlled his mind. And so he is the Avaduta. No? He has transcended the so-called normal social norms and duties. So we see in this wonderful shloka in the Bhagavatam, it is described, the Avaduta, this thing is described. No? So where we have seen this verse in the previous chapters as well. No? Jadanda Mukha Bhadira Pishacho Madakavat Avaduta Vesho Abhibhaya Syamano Pi Jananam Grihita Mauna Vratas Tushnim Babuva. So he says, after accepting the feature of Avaduta, a great saintly person without material cares, Lord Rishabhadeva passed through human society like a blind, deaf and dumb man. an idle stone, a ghost or a madman. So his son he had exactly taken up after his father. Although people called him such names, he remained silent and did not speak to anyone. So very nicely it is said, no? He said the word Avaduta refers to one who does not care for social conventions, especially the Varnashrama Dharma. Obviously, he needs to have the adhikar for that. He has to be at the topmost yoga ladder platform before he can, because that the Avaduta behavior will come naturally to him. He did not imitate a Mahavaduta. No? He is completely situated within himself and satisfied with the supreme personality of Godhead. Because he has completely surpassed the clutches of Maya, that's why he is able to, that's why naturally he is behaving like that he doesn't care at all for the normal social customs. So even in the 11th canto, we see this Yadu Maharaj, he meets this Avaduta Brahmana. And the Avaduta Brahmana is saying, this Avaduta Brahmana, it's not as if he's in a pitiable situation. He is in a very good state. No? Prayo dharmartha kameshu vivitsayam cha manavaha hetu naiva samihanta ayusho yashasha shriyaha. He says generally human beings work hard to cultivate religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and knowledge of the soul. And the usual motive is to increase the duration of life, acquire fame, and enjoy material opulence. That's why I am doing all this so-called prescribed duties. No, why? Because I got my selfish aims to achieve, to acquire fame and enjoy material opulence. Even he is saying, even spiritual, he says, Prabhupada says, even spiritual, I am indulging because it makes me feel good, no? Make me feel good. So that's why I'm indulging in that. And so Tvam, but that Avaduta Brahmana, he says, Tvam tu kalpa kavir daksha subhago amrita bhashanaha na karta nehase kinchit jadon matta pishachavat. So this Avaduta Brahmana is not an ordinary person. He is completely capable, learned, expert, handsome, and most eloquent. But in spite of that, he has completely discarded the material world. He is not engaged in doing anything, and he appears stupefied and maddened as if he were a ghostly creature. And transcending the Vedic norms and regulations, as it is mentioned in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he's telling, as an ordinary person, I'll be enamored by the flowery words of the Vedas, and so I'll say, okay, if I do all these Vedic rituals, I will gain all this. But the advanced soul, he says, is Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. He is completely focused on this topmost goal of attaining God consciousness, like Jadabharata. So he doesn't care for the lower goals, lower fruits, what the Vedas offer. He has transcended the Vedic norms and regulations. So the pure devotee's behavior cannot be understood. It cannot be understood by an ordinary person, no? Because they have gone to the objective. So I may be doing karma kanda, or I may be indulging in jnana kanda. But they have realized what is the objective of these two, no? Objective of these two things. So we can see this verse as well in the Bhagavata. It says, he says, Jnanam yad aprati vrinipruta gunormi chakram, atma prasada uta yatra guneshwa sanga, kaivalya sammata patastva atha bhakti yoga, ko nimvruto hari kathasu ratimna kuryat. He says, the transcendental knowledge in relationship with the Supreme Lord Hari is knowledge resulting in the complete suspensions of the waves and whirlpools of material modes. So if in my life there's no suspension of the waves and whirlpools of the material modes, that means really I have not acquired any transcendental knowledge in relation to Supreme Lord Hari. Such knowledge is self-satisfying due to his being free from material attachment and being transcendental. It's approved by authorities. Who could fail to be attracted? So even in the 15th chapter, the Lord reveals that he is the goal. He is the goal of all the Vedas. If somebody is practicing the Vedic customs, prescribed duties, but the ultimate goal is to understand Krishna. So transcending karma as well as jnana. So this was very famous, Rupa Goswami's verse. What did he say? He says, Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyanavritam anukulyena Krishna anushilanam bhakti uttama. He says, when first class devotional service develops, Jadabharata is already in that stage. He is devoid of all material desires, knowledge acquired, obtained by monistic philosophy, and fruitive action. And he is constantly serving Krishna favorably in his mind as Krishna desires. So no wonder he has no desire at all to enjoy this material world. So even Narada also he is revealing to Vyasadeva in this first canto. No? First canto, what does he say? Narada is saying here, Namani anantasya hatatrapa patan guhyani badrani kritani cha smaran gam paryatam tushta mana gataspraha kalam pratikshan vimado vimat saraha. So Narada Muni is telling to Vyasadeva, he's saying, thus I began chanting the holy name and fame of the Lord by repeated recitation, ignoring all the formalities of the material world. Such chanting and remembering of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are benedictory. So doing, he traveled all over the earth, fully satisfied, humble, and unenvious. Even Mahavishnu Goswami also frequently he tells this shloka. No, just by they when they asked him how you became such a great speaker of Bhagavatam, Mahavishnu Goswami used to say, just by chanting the holy name and fame of the Lord, by repeated recitation, ignoring all the formalities of the world. That's why he Goswami Maharaj he became so famous. Fully absorbed in Krishna. No? He is even in the 6th chapter. It's mentioned the topmost thing. He is in samadhi. He is in samadhi. So this in the samadhi state, there it is described. No? How they are totally oblivious to what is happening in the world. No? It says yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyan atmani tushyati sukam atyantikam yattat buddhigrahyam atindriyam vetti yatra na chaivayam sthitas chalati tattvataha yam labdva chaparam labham manyate na adhikam tataha yasmin sthito na dukkhena guru napi vichalyate tam vidya dukkha samyoga viyogam yoga samyitam. So Jadabharta is in this stage, no? In that stage of perfection or trance or samadhi. His mind is completely restrained from material mental activities because he is practicing bhakti yoga internally. And this perfection is characterized by his ability to see the self in the pure mind. So he is already seeing Krishna. So why will he care for anything in the material world? In that joyous state, he is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. So all his material senses, he is not using them at all because he is transcendently interacting with the Lord. Established thus, he never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks that there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, he is never shaken. Whatever ill treatment, whatever insults the world is throwing at him, he is never shaken, even in the midst of the greatest difficulty. That indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. Jadabharta had reached that exalted stage. And here in the from this sloka also it is said that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati used to say this, no? He used to like the shloka a lot, no? Parivadatu jano yata tatava nanu mukharo na vayam vicharayama hari rasa madhira madati mattha bhuvi viluthamo nathamo nirvishamaha. And he used to translate this like this. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Let the garrulous populace say whatever they like. We shall pay them no regard. Thoroughly maddened by the ecstasy of the intoxicating beverage of love for Krishna, we shall enjoy life running about, rolling on the ground and dancing in ecstasy. So typical Avadhuta behavior, no? I may not understand, but the great devotee's behavior I should not even try to understand. No, it is so exalted. And the special relationship. So even Krishna says, I know nothing but my devotees. So what to speak of the devotees? No? Even Krishna says, apart from my devotees, I don't know anything else. When he is speaking to Durvasa Muni. No? Durvasa Muni, he says, Sadhavo hridayam mahyam, sadhunam hridayam tvaham, mad anyat tena jananti, naham tebhyo manag api. No? The pure devotee is always within the core of my heart, and I am always in the heart of the pure devotee. My devotees do not know anything else but me. I do not know anything else but them. So even in the 7th canto, we see when Prahlad Maharaj, as a child, used to be totally absorbed in the Lord. It is said inexplicably, sometimes used to be crying, sometimes used to be laughing, that he is actually personally interacting with the Lord. And when the Lord disappears even for a moment, he starts crying and the Lord appears again. So he's at that level. Prahlad Maharaj, Jadabharata, all these great devotees, Narada. And no, not easily understood as it is confidential knowledge. So even the ninth chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says this is Guhyatamam, very topmost secret. So this knowledge which is there in the purest of the pure devotees cannot be understood by ordinary persons like me. And so the other great famous Avadutas are there. Shukadeva Goswami, who refused to come out of his mother's womb until the Lord personally had to come and beg him to come out and assure him that he won't be enamored by he won't be trapped by the material world. Lord Rishabhadeva, whom the devotees have so nicely described in the previous sessions. And what to speak of Lord Nityananda, the Supreme Lord himself, it is mentioned in the Adi Leela. No? He says, Nityananda Avadhuta Sabhate Agala Chaitanyera Dasya Preme Haila Pagal. He says, Sri Nityananda, the wandering mendicant, is the foremost of all the associates of the Lord Chaitanya. He became mad in the ecstasy of service to Lord Chaitanya. So even Lord Chaitanya himself, when he is describing, no, he goes to his spiritual master and says, my dear spiritual master, you have given me this mantra, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and by chanting this, I seem to have become mad. So is something wrong with me? And his spiritual master tells him, no, my dear boy, you are not gone mad. You have attained the topmost fruit of chanting the Mahamantra. So Lord Chaitanya himself was an Avaduta, no? Especially in the latter part of his pastimes in Jagannath Puri, he was a complete Avaduta. So ordinary persons could not understand the Lord's behavior. And we might say, oh, what about the Avadutas are fools? But actually the Avadutas considered all the materialists like me as fools. So we see what um, um, Prahlad Maharaj says. No? Prahlad Maharaj, what does he say? He's saying, Nate vidhu swartha gatim hi Vishnu, durashaya he bahir artha manina, anda yathande upaniya manas, te apisha tantriam urudhamni baddha. So Prahlad Maharaj is saying, persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life and who are therefore accepted as a leader or a guru, a similar blind man attached to external sense objects, cannot understand that the goal of life is to return home back to Godhead and engage in the service of Lord Vishnu. As blind men guided by another blind man miss the right path and fall into a ditch, materially attached men led by another materially attached uh, man are bound by the ropes of fruitive labor, which are made of very strong cords. And so I continue again and again in materialistic life, suffering the threefold miseries. And again, even later, Prahlad Maharaj also says similarly. So he is saying, I have no, the great devotees, they have no worry about themselves. No? Even Jadabharata, uh, he was not worried about himself. No? He says, Naivodvache para duratyaya vaitaranyas twadvirya gayana mahamrita magna chitta soche tato vimuka chetasa indriyartha maya sukhaya bharam udvato vimudhan, he says. Prahlad Maharaja says. No? Oh, best of the great personalities, I am not afraid of material existence, for wherever I stay, the Prahlad Maharaj, he is fully absorbed in thoughts of the Lord's glories and activities. His concern is only for the fools and rascals, no, of this world who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining our families, societies, and countries. And such great devotees like Jadabharta and Prahlad Maharaja, they are concerned for the common people out of so much love for them. So, in this context, I just wanted to conclude with this very nice episode by this great Acharya in the Sri Sampradaya by named Kulashekara Alvar. He was one of the Alvars. No? And Kulashekara Alvar, he was a great king. He was a great king in the Chera dynasty. And this Kulashekara Alvar, he was totally absorbed in the Lord, especially Lord Ramachandra. So every day he used to call the Vaishnavas and ask them to relate the Sri Ramayana. And so every day he used to listen to Sri Ramayana. And whenever the episode of one day the great the Vaishnava devotee, he was telling him in Janasthan how Lord Ramachandra was attacked by so many 10,000 Rakshasas came to attack him after the Shurpanaka episode. And then he says he goes to fight with them. And Kulashekara Alvar, he says, what, my dear little Lord Ramachandra is fighting all these Rakshasas all alone? How he can be alone? So he took up his sword. He asked his army to follow him. He says, let us go to Janastan and help Lord Ramachandra. And then all the other devotees had to stop him with great difficulty. And then they advised the devotee was telling the story. From now on, don't tell any story where Lord Ramachandra is facing troubles. No, tell only happy stories. Where he is fighting, then immediately our king goes mad. Don't tell him this. So he was very careful in not telling him such stories. And one day that particular devotee was not there, so his son came. His son did not know, and son immediately started telling the story of how Ramana he captured Mother Sita and took her across the ocean. And so when he heard this, the moment he heard this, Kulashekar Alvar, he said, "Come on, let us start with our army. No, let us go and cross the ocean and save Mother Sita." So he took up his. Everyone tried to stop him. He took up his entire army and he went towards the ocean. He was going with the horse. He was going right into the ocean without anything. No? And then Lord Ramachandra personally came with Mother Sita. He appeared to him. He says, "My dear son, don't worry. Sita is. We have already defeated Ravana, and Mother Sita is here. See, she is sitting next to me. She is sitting next to me, and you need not go to Lanka now." And so he was very happy. He said, "My dear Lord Ramachandra, very, very nice that you defeated Ravana." And Lord Ramachandra says, "My dear son, what is this kind of devotion you are practicing? No, this kind of devotion, people are laughing at you. They are considering you a madman, and they are making fun of you. And this is giving me a lot of pain when people are insulting you like that. Don't behave like such a madman," he says. And to this, Kulashekara Alvar replies, "My dear Lord, actually, in my opinion, all those other people are mad." Who are there in this material world. I am not mad. They are mad. No? So I just wanted to conclude with that thing. Very nicely, Kulashekara Alvar says. No? Where is this? Yeah. Says, "Dear Lord, those who run after material things are all mad in my view, and I who run after you am mad in their view. So I don't care. No? They consider me mad. I consider them mad. No? So that is Kulashekara Alvar. So I just wanted to conclude with that. So these are all great Avadutas, Kulashekara Alvar, Jadabharata, Shukadeva Goswami, Lord Rishabhadeva, Lord Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya. So very difficult for ordinary persons to understand their behavior. So I just wanted to conclude with that. Thank you very much. Yeah, so if any of the devotees want to add or anything else, kindly do so.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much. A very nice class and bringing out the various points of for explaining this verse. In this regard, when you told about this story of Kulashekara, one story came to my mind. There is a mention in Chaitanya Charitamrita in a similar situation. Of course, it was not with public. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was visiting South India, he met with the Kurma Brahmana, and who invited him to his house and to have prasadam in his house. To serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reached his house, even after the afternoon, he has made known, he told him that Lakshman has gone to the has gone to collect the things, and once when comes back, Sita Mata will cook. So to us, I mean, to a materialistic person like us, I mean, even those we are devotees, practicing devotees, it is a very, I mean, if you just imagine the situation, you have gone to someone's house who has invited you, and he is telling something that Lakshman has gone to collect the things, and once he come back, Sita Mata will cook for it. So, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not at all, he was not at all offended. He just realized the mental position of that Brahmana, because that Brahmana was, and subsequently by questioning, he understood that he was very much offended. I mean, not offended, he was in a great grief, understanding that Sita has been taken away by Ravana, who is a great demon.
Correct.
And how Ravan can touch Sita even, because
Correct.
Sita is spiritual.
Correct.
How Ravan can touch Sita, that has so much deep in his heart that he's always thinking it. And in fact, he is on that realm.
Correct.
That's why when he told him that Lakshman has gone, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu realized what is his mental position.
Yes, yes.
And he's, he is involved on that level only.
Correct.
He's not coming down to the material level. And
Correct.
subsequently, to make this thing short, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him that Sita is spiritual, so Ravan cannot touch him. Don't worry about that. You don't think in that way.
Correct.
And subsequently, when he went to South India further, he found at one place that from Kurma Puran was being recited, and this verse was being told.
Yes.
So he personally took care to keep a copy of that original page of that verse or that story from that book, and it is very difficult to convince to take the original copy from
Yes.
that place. But
Correct.
he took it and came back, cut shorting, in a different way, came back to the Kurma Brahmana and told him the same story what he has told, that was corroborated. In other words, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu realized the mental condition or the level in which he is residing. So that is a great level. We cannot understand, the material people cannot understand it.
Correct.
And in a similar way, you have explained very nicely that how Kulashekar seems to mad for the normal people, but they are in a different level of consciousness, and from material level we should not judge them.
Yes.
And in fact, they always think of the Lord, and as told in I think in Bhagavad Gita, there is a verse that where it is, I think 630. Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha moi pashyati tasyaham na pranashami sacha me na pranashati. It is like that, means that one who sees me everywhere, one who sees the Lord everywhere and sees everything, always in everything he sees me, and I am never lost. So they are always in touch with the Lord, and the Lord also do not forget them. So in this way, they are in a different level, and we should not just from our mental level.
Correct.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
No, thank you for sharing that, Prabhu. Very, very wonderful pastime from Chaitanya Charitamrita. No, thank you for that. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dharapranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dhanwad.
Thank you for enlightening this, unpacking this verse in so many different levels and with so many quotations and examples. Jad Bharat is on a different plane altogether. And one cannot judge a devotee just by his appearance.
Correct.
This is one of the lessons we have to learn from this incident. Some devotees appear very unconventional, but they are quite highly realized.
Correct.
So maybe we can give some indication how one can judge a devotee's advancement, so from outside, external appearance or internal. Because sometimes some visitors are coming sannyasis and they appear maybe different, maybe unconventional, but they maybe deep in their heart they are on a different level. So not to get this offensive mentality, sometimes it's very important to realize how to judge Mahatma. Maybe we can shed some light, because this is a very common thing.
Very difficult question, because even Srila Madhvacharya says, he's saying some devotees, some advanced pure devotees, when they're in that state, they are basically they're singing, dancing, and they're exhibiting very that kind of behavior. And some of the great devotees, even though in advanced state, they're very, very quiet. They're very, very this thing. So he's saying, it's even Srila Madhvacharya says it's very, very difficult to distinguish which is the like the state of a devotee. He's saying because devotee might either do, and devotees might will be a mix of both. That is very, very kind of extrovert kind of behavior, and very, very internalized, very quiet behavior. So he's saying very, very difficult. And of course, Srila Madhvacharya, the great devotees can recognize. So he's saying like how much they speak about Krishna, that probably. But again, we I think it'd be out of my place to judge any devotee to see what level or he or she is. But Madhvacharya says like how much of Krishna they speak. So the great devotees can probably, it takes one to know one, no? One great devotee, probably only one great devotee can know another great devotee. So probably it's out of my place to say how to recognize a devotee, because how do I know? Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so it's seeing by the external behavior, as you have said, it's very, very difficult to recognize who the level of the devotee, that whether it's the Uttamadhikari or the Mahabhagavata. Yeah.
It's difficult to judge the book by its cover.
So probably better not to judge.
Thank you, Prabhu. We still got some time, and the devotees
Yes,
will give some comments. We have.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you for a very nice class. You described very nicely the Jada Bharat's character with so many points and so many verses. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So if there's no other questions, should we conclude there, Prabhu?
One more point.
Yes.
The Mr. Poshak, just amazing. I mean, he, as you mentioned, he's on a different platform, and even Lord Ramchandra had to come down to placate him. His passion for protecting Sita Mata's reputation. So one thing that really came out, I really took it very nicely, is that from their perspective, we are the fools, and although we might judge him, others as fools, but from their perspective, we are the fool, and they are on a greatly higher level.
Because they are completely in the spirit. They have completely recognized that they are not the body, they are the spirit. So obviously, once they recognize that they're not the body, they want nothing to do with the body. So that's why their behavior is very inexplicable, probably. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Anybody else have some comments? We got a few minutes. If not, we'll close the class here.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I have a little story if you don't mind.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mataji.
Yeah, thank you again for this beautiful class. I just remembered the Chaitanya Chandra Charan Prabhu story about the Russian devotee who had the mental sick daughter, and so this daughter could not speak much, just a few words, and she taught her to chant Hare Krishna mantra.
Yeah. Wonderful.
And it was a very hard time, and at some time this devotee stopped coming to the temple, and they learned that she stopped believing. It was such a hard time for her, so she lost her faith.
Oh, okay.
And then at some point she returned back, and because her daughter, mental sick daughter, was constantly chanting.
Wow. In fact, the daughter brought them back, basically.
Yes, she couldn't speak, but she could only chant whole day. She stopped behaving like crazy. She was just sitting and chanting all day, and the devotee could not do anything else but return back to Krishna consciousness.
So the daughter brought them back, brought the family back. Yeah, wonderful.
Yes. Hare Krishna. Thank you again.
Thank you for sharing that, Mataji.
From another example is Gaur Krishna Das Babaji.
Yeah, Gaur Krishna Das. Yeah.
He was also with the, he was like
Correct,
sit retreat and chant.
Correct. Jagannath Das Babaji as well. Yes.
So we have got so many good examples to please discuss. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Okay, we'll close here.
No questions? Yeah, we can close that.
Okay, Vanchakar
Anantapurti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai. His grace Poshak Madhav Prabhu ki jai. Gaur Hari Bol. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Okay.